Happy Sunday, everyone. Wow, we're in the middle of October 2020. Very interesting, isn't it? I was trying to decide what I was going to talk about this week, and one theme kept coming back to me, which I found a little bit humorous because this is what's one of my favorite things, which is joy. But it's also one of the things that people question me about. It's kind of interesting. They don't question me when they first meet me, but after some time, I'll get conversations similar to, when I first saw you and listened to you and met you, I wondered if you were really as happy and joyful as you said you were. And I get a number of those comments, and I find it fun because, quite honestly, it would be exhausting if I were projecting something I wasn't. And I don't have the energy or the interest in doing that. And it is true most of the time, I am pretty darn joyful, except when I'm not. And when I'm not, you will know the difference very easily. Trust me. But I was thinking about that, and I thought, I come by joy, and I have an intention to be joyful. Now, part of it I may come by nurture. If you understand the Enneagram personality test at all, I'm a smiling, happy partier. Okay, so that might happen. So it could be a little of nurture or nature. I was just born that way. It could be nurture because I observe my brother, and he is quite joyful as well. And so, I'll give you an example. Whenever my brother gets something new, he gets really excited about it. He's like a kid at Christmas. He's very joyful. One Thanksgiving a few years ago, he got a new car, new to him. And Thanksgiving is a toss-up in Minnesota. It can be warm, it can be cold. This was a cold one. But he invited us out to his garage, not attached, to go see his new car. Now, when you go see his new car, you don't go and look in and go, oh, that's pretty. He invites you to come in and sit down. So we were seated. I was in the back seat. I think Stephen, my husband, was in the front seat. I don't know who else was with me. I think it was a Suburban. So could have been a lot of us. And then my brother spent about, I'm going to say 20 minutes explaining how the different gadgets worked and what they all did. And he was just excited about it. And he was just joy-filled. And quite honestly, that's kind of how I get too when things are going on around me as well. Stephen will attest that occasionally what was it recently? Oh, I got a new candle ring. Not too exciting for many of you. And if you don't know what it is, it doesn't matter. But I said, come out from the den and come see my new candle ring. And then I proceeded every time he would come back out into the living room, I'd say, oh, don't they look good? Don't they look good? And I was just tickled by that. And so there might be some nurture. So I got some nature, I got some nurture. But probably the main reason that I experience joy as my default pretty much in life is that I choose it and seek it. I've been doing smiling meditation for, 3 decades at least now. I'm sorry, I'm just contemplating on the time frame there, and it's like, I have to add more numbers every time I use that as an example. It's kind of amazing. But anyways, so I intend to be joyful. I seek it. And of course, what we're looking for, we'll find. We know that. And so I've also am blessed with beliefs that let me know that joy is not related to circumstances. It's not related to physical conditions at all. It's related to how I experience those things. And so that makes a huge difference because I know that not everyone knows that. And if you don't know that, you might not be able to then partake of joy as easily as some of us who are blessed to have that information. So, since I know that joy comes from inside, I know that it's intrinsic to my beingness. It's my spiritual center is joy. And so when I touch that, so when I take my focus from my brain and my mind and, do that nice little laundry chute down into the heart, and I hang out there, and I feel from my heart, I see metaphorically, from my heart. A couple things happen. It tends to bring me more into the present moment, and it tends to bring things more intimate to me, and it makes it easier to then access and express the joy that's there. And so, just for an example, because one of the exercises I do as well is I just make a list of all the things I'm joyful about. So while I was contemplating this in preparation, I said, well, I'll take 10 minutes and I'll just think of the things I'm joyful about. So this was on Wednesday afternoon, and it was a blistery day in central Minnesota. And the leaves were blowing like they were in a vortex. It was beautiful. These yellow and red leaves are just blowing like crazy outside. I loved that. And then what else? Oh, I put down my beaded candle rigs back here, I guess. Anyway, because I was looking up and I went, oh, I'm excited about those. And again, it's the little things get excited. Then I thought, oh, heavenly hash, because I just had eaten a piece a little while ago. Heavenly hash is not like regular hash. It's my family's recipe, or probably others as well. My hash contains a lot of the food groups: chocolate, peanuts, butterscotch. Oh, it's excellent. Anyhow, then I looked out the window again, and the wind was blowing really hard. So the puffy white clouds were really moving across the bright blue sky. And I went, oh, isn't that marvelous? And then I thought about, I have a husband in the den. That brings me joy. And not that he's not in here, but that he's here. And then I was watching these two bluebirds who were like bomber pilots from World War II zooming around, and they were just hysterical. They were cracking me up. And then, of course, there's Ernie, my pet squirrel. Now, he doesn't know he's a pet squirrel. He thinks he's a wild little red squirrel that, lives in my backyard and loves to perch on the arm of my lawn chair and just, peruse his kingdom. And so he always tickles me. He's just a hoot. And so those were the things I thought of in just a couple minutes, of the things that bring me joy. And I thought of Charles Fillmore, co-founder of Unity. He wrote in, which it was the Jesus Christ Heals book, he talked about using music and singing to bring you joy. And we do that a lot here. We have music going, and we love to sing, and we dance. And my husband is a wonderful interpreter or an imitator of John Travolta. Doing one of those, those. And he's actually a very good dancer. But quite honestly, let's face it, there is a point when all seniors dancing tend to bring you joy just because it's a hoot. And no matter how good they are, it's just kind of joy-filling. So he will come in at all times of the day and start doing some of his signature dance moves, and brings me joy. So I was thinking of other things that, about joy, and an old story came to mind. I wanted to share it with you. You may have heard it before, but it is one of my favorites. And it's a story about a young boy named Shea. And he was a student at a Jewish school that catered to learning disabled students. And he attended that school Monday through Friday. And then on Sunday, he went to the yeshiva, a Torah institute, where he was mainstreamed with non-learning disabled children. And one Sunday afternoon, Shea and his father came to the yeshiva as the rest of his classmates were playing baseball. The game was in progress, and Shea and his father made their way over to watch. And Shea said to his dad, "Do you think they'd let me play?" Now his dad, in that moment, knew some things about his son. He knew his son was not athletic. He knew his son did not have good hand-eye coordination, and he really couldn't run very well at all. And he also knew that probably the boys would not be excited about having Shea join them during this exciting game. But he knew something else. He knew that it meant a lot to his son, so it was worth a try. So Shea's father approached one of the boys and asked, "Do you think that Shea could get into the game?" And the boy looked around trying to get, kind of guidance from other teammates, but there was none to be found. So he took matters into his own hand and he said, "Yeah, we're losing by 6 points. It's in the 8th inning. So I guess he can be on our team, and we'll try to put him up to bat in the ninth inning. Shea's father was ecstatic, and Shea was excited, and he was told to put on a glove and go play short center field. And in the bottom of the eighth inning, Shea's team scored 3 runs, but they were still behind by 3. And in the bottom of the ninth, there are now 2 outs, but there are 2 men on base. And guess who's up to bat? Of course, it would be Shea. So now, trying to decide, what to do. And the boys decided to let Shea bat. Now, Shea had never held a bat before. He didn't even know how to do it. But all of a sudden in that moment, as he walked up holding this bat, the whole dynamic of the game changed. And the pitcher from the other team took a couple steps forward and softly lobbed the ball into the air, giving Shea a chance to hit it. Shea swung, he missed. And so one of Shea's teammates came up and stood around him and helped him hold the bat. And the pitcher came in a couple more steps, lobbed the ball again, and they made contact. And the ball rolled right to the pitcher. And the pitcher could easily turn around and throw to first base, and the game would be over. But the pitcher did something interesting. He took the ball and he lobbed it way over the first baseman's head out into right field. And then everyone started yelling, "Shea, run to first! Shea, run to first!" He'd never run to first in his life. So he was running to first, got there. And by the time he got to first base, the right fielder already had the ball. The right fielder, catching on to what is going on, though, now lobs the ball over the third baseman's head. So, and people are, saying, "Shea, run to second, run to second." So he starts running to second. The other 2 guys are already rounding the bases. He's running to second, and then the shortstop from that team in the field kind of grabs him by the shoulders and says, "Shea, run to third, run to third." And so he's running to third base. I don't have any idea where the ball is at this point, but it's definitely not really in play to speak of. He's running to third base, and now at this point, both teams are yelling, and the third baseman's helped to turn him. He said, "Run home, Shea. Shea, run home." And he's running home. He's exhausted. He's never run this far. And half the teams on both sides are sort of running behind him. And he steps on home plate. And everyone is ecstatic. He's the hero of the game. And I love that story because my guess is the fielding team at that moment were planning on experiencing joy by winning the game. And instead, they experienced joy by creating a different outcome, a more intimate outcome, a more personal outcome. And it was incredibly powerful, wasn't it? And so I think a lot of times when we think joy has to come from big places, and it doesn't. It comes from those small moments. And isn't that what life is? Life is a series of small moments, which we want to be present for. And so what we want to do is create and collect joyous small moments. And if you're on the lookout for those, you'll find them. They're there all the time. It's about getting excited where we are, not waiting for something exciting to happen. I kind of kid people, well, it's true probably, during this pandemic when I have been home and people call on the phone and say, "What's new?" I'm kind of going, I haven't got a lot new. They go, but it's like, but I'm having a great life. I have all these exciting things happening right about me, within me, around me, looking out the window. I don't even have to sit outside. I can just look outside and see all this wonder that I'm having a delightful life. I'm having a joy-filled life. I'm expressing joy when I talk to people on the phone, but most of the time I'm just saying, well, yeah, tell me what's going on with you, because they have much more happening. I have moments, and I'm liking my moments. I love the quote from the book of James, the brother of Jesus of Nazareth, that says, "Dear brothers and sisters, whatever trouble comes your way, allow it to be an opportunity for joy." Sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? Whatever troubles come, allow them to be opportunities for joy. But it's true, because in those troubles will be surprising opportunities for joy we wouldn't even think about. Just this week, my brother-in-law's husband suffered a cardiac heart attack. It was quite serious. He's doing well. But at the time, he went into the hospital. And of course, when you go to the hospital, you can't my brother-in-law couldn't go with him. And he had to have surgeries and so on. And they were both pretty upset, the fact, because these were significant. And they weren't going to get to see each other. Until that evening before the surgery, a nurse called and said, if you can get up here, because it's about an hour and a half drive, and we'll suit you up and you can go in for an hour and be together. And then my brother-in-law relayed this in the phone conversation the next day. And as you listen to him, the joy that they experienced in that hour, the connection, the wonder of that erased all the other lack feelings that they had previously. It was like, that was just a wonderful gift. And I'm thinking of what's happening in this pandemic in so many ways, which is horrendously difficult for some and maybe not so for others. I know that there's a lot of hardship as a result of it. But also within this trouble are wonderful opportunities for joy, for connection, for generosity, for giving, for love, for people stepping up and being that expression of joy, divine love that they are. It's really incredible. And then sometimes the little things, the little troubles kind of can bring you great joys if you look for them. Speaking of the heavenly hash that I was telling you about that tastes so good, when I was making it, I managed to cut my finger. I did a good job. I don't do anything haphazard, I guess. And anyway, trying to solve how to work around that finger, because I found out in the coming time that finger bumps into everything all day long, and it was really getting kind of perturbing. And I had no idea that my finger led through everything. But from that came the wonderful invention of the finger cone. We were thinking of patenting it, but then we'd have to ask Coca-Cola for the bottle. But it's wonderful. It's just the right size to fit over your finger, and you can't run into anything. It has made me a happy, joyful person. And again, it's the personal things, it's the intimate things, quite often, that are going to bring us the greatest joys, isn't it? And we're the creators of our experience. We know that in unity. And so we have the opportunity to focus, to choose joy, and to make that our default. And it doesn't matter if other people's default is fear, if other people's default might be anger or resentment or whatever might be going on. It does not matter. We have within us this wonderful joy that as we practice it and live with it, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, it becomes our default, just like our smiles. So I wanted to close out with one of my favorite poems from Reverend Jim Rosemurdy. And he says, "Wonder and a consciousness of the spiritual dimension of life do not become because an event is grand, but because we take a grand view of it. Throughout the ages, people who have paused from the busyness and demands of daily life have found wonder in seemingly insignificant events and things. It makes me ponder if it is not all awe and wonder, if we have the eyes to see and the ears to hear. Every time we are awestruck or filled with wonder, life is wonderful, joy-filled. In that moment, a birth takes place, ours, a new birthing of joy. And so my wish for you this week is that you experience joy in small and intimate, surprising ways. And so it is. And now if you'd like to take that in just a little bit more, stick around and let's just do a little brief meditation together. So I invite you to continue to be comfortable in your chair. Perhaps close your eyes. Take a few gentle breaths. Let your focus rest on your heart space. Know you may follow my words or you may go elsewhere. Wherever you go will be perfect. And I'd like you to think of the word joy. Allow feelings of joy to bubble up from within you. Allow them to sweep through every cell of your body. I experience a tremendous joy in knowing my oneness with all that is sacred. I remember who I am, and joy runs throughout the fabric of my life. It feels natural. It feels right. I observe my thoughts to see if there are any resistant thoughts, any ideas I have that are keeping me from expressing joy. Is it okay with me to express unabashed joy? If resistance ideas show up, I simply gently and lovingly allow them to appear. For it is okay to be joy-filled no matter what else is going on. Compassion and joy go hand in hand. I don't betray or disrespect anyone by being in joy. I don't deny circumstances. I simply let my true light of joy, my true self, shine. There is nothing more loving or respectful I can do. So if I've been withholding joy, I simply breathe and allow it to come forth. It resonates from within my soul. I remember who I am. It's as if I am walking in the sunshine where all shadows of concern and doubt have been overcome by the light of spirit. My joy encourages me to expect the best and to accept the best. The words I speak are spoken in joy, for I am sharing from my inner divinity. The joy of Godness is such that it fills my mind with positive thoughts and imbues my words with love and peace. The spirit of joy within me lights up my entire being and brightens the atmosphere around me. I express a joy that is the gladness of my soul. The people I meet are blessed by the joy that arises up within me and overflows from me. There are so many things that bring me joy. I invite you to take a moment and gently bring to mind an experience, perhaps from the past, or perhaps this moment, whatever. Any experience which brings you joy. Then feel that joy deeply. Feel it in your face. Feel it in every cell of your being. Experience your joy. And know that this joy is available to you anytime you choose to experience it. Anytime. And so it is. And so you may want to take a few more gentle breaths and feel that life energy flowing through you all the way out to your fingertips and your toes and the tip of your nose. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes, feeling alert, yet relaxed, energized, yet at peace and joy. Farewell.